In this update of AidanEyewitness, I asked the question, do tall buildings harm cities? With special reference to Liverpool, we look at the top 40 plus tallest buildings. The Liver building was known as the tallest skyscraper in Europe until the early 30s, but what building overtook it and why is there some doubt? What's happening with this structure just near the Flurry? And what building is still number one? Hello and welcome to AidanEyewitness. Do tall buildings harm cities? That's a question I'd like to look at in this video. I'm going to take Liverpool as an example. It's a very interesting case study. And we're going to look at a long list of the tallest structures in Liverpool, and you'll be surprised by some of them. So, do tall buildings harm cities? This has been a very important question since tall buildings first started to appear in cities, beginning in New York and Chicago in the late 19th century. Did people in the early days of skyscraper construction dislike the new buildings? Liverpool presents an interesting case study because it was a pioneer in tall building construction, though in 2021 the UNESCO committee withdrew their World Heritage status because they considered that new taller buildings planned for the North Waterfront would harm the famous heritage buildings on the pierhead. But the Liver building was completed in 1911. It was considered Britain's first skyscraper. It was the tallest building in Europe from 1911 to 1931, when it was said to have been overtaken by the Boerentoren or Farmer's Tower in Antwerp, Belgium. But there's an inconsistency there. I'll talk about that later. And offhand, do you know the height of the Liver building above the level of the pierhead? There was a taller structure, New Brighton Tower, 173 metres, but it only existed from 1898 to around 1920-21. So what I'll do is I'll go through the list of tall buildings and structures, mostly within the city of Liverpool, as given in Wikipedia. The heights are only approximate, they've missed out a building or two, so it's not the definitive list. As we go along, we'll make some small detours off the list to look at some interesting related structures. And I'll give my take on the question, are tall buildings always harmful, or are they always an enhancement to a city? At the bottom of the Wikipedia list we have 8 buildings, all approximately the same height. The Church of St Francis Xavier, Everton, 49 metres. St Mary's Church, West Derby, also 49 metres. Kane's Brewery, 49 metres. The Royal Insurance Building, now the Aloft Hotel, 49 metres. The Wellington Buildings on the Strand, 49 metres. And from around the same era, the India Buildings, 49 metres. The Kingsway Tunnel Ventilation Station, it too is 49 metres. But its twin across the river is actually 57 metres tall. I calculated this using Google Earth, very useful. The former council block Haysmore Heights is 49 metres. And now for our first small detour. There's one building that very few people fondly remember. That was Concourse House, a 1960s office building designed by famous architect Richard Seifert, built right in front of the magnificent late 19th century Lime Street station. Over 40 metres tall, and it was removed in 2009 because it harmed the area around it. Back to the list now, we have One Park West, Block A, 49 metres tall. Next door it's the Copper House, 50 metres. Plaza 1821 on Prince's Dock, 51 metres. One Park West, Block B, 52 metres. Anfield Stadium, 52 metres. Bankfield Grain Silo, 52 metres. Bankfield Grain Silo? That's the grain storage silo operated by S&B Herber Foods on Regent Road in the North Docks. A bridge with a conveyor belt carries the grain from the port over to the silo. It was built in the 1950s. Very impressive. A better design than many normal buildings. And now we'll go on a detour just down Regent Road to see a structure not tall but long. A kind of ground scraper. This is the Tate & Lyle Sugar Silo, built in 1957. It's 165 metres from end to end, so if it were upended, it would be the tallest building in Liverpool. It's Grade 2 star listed. Now back to the list. The Church of Our Lady and St Nicholas, built in 1815, is the oldest building on the waterfront. The clock tower is 53 metres tall. The magnificent red brick Victoria building, part of Liverpool University, is 53 metres tall. Man Island Building number 3, 53 metres. Silk House Court, former offices, now apartments on Tidebarn Street, 56 metres tall. The next one is missing from the Wikipedia list. It's Parliament Square. I could find no height details anywhere. From Google Earth, I make it 57 metres tall. The Queen Elizabeth II Law Courts, 58 metres. Novotel Paddington Village, 59 metres. North John Street Ventilation Station, 60 metres. St George's Dock Ventilation Tower, 60 metres. The Wheel of Liverpool, also 60 metres. We have reached a height of 200 feet. On the subject of viewpoints over the city, the Henninger Tower in Frankfurt was a grain silo built in 1961 by Henninger Beer, with a viewing tower that looks similar to the GPO Tower in London, built a few years later. The Henninger Tower was 119.5 metres tall. It had to be demolished, but in its place they decided to restore the gap in the skyline, and they built a new residential building of roughly the same height and shape, also with a viewing tower. It seems in Frankfurt they like their tall buildings. The next building is half the size. It's the Welsh Presbyterian Church in Toxteth, 61 metres, sadly in a bad state of repair. The Plaza, or the Sir John Moores building, one of my favourites, was built in 1965 and it's all of 65 metres tall. Unity Commercial is also 65 metres. Horizon Heights, next to Lime Street Station, 65 metres. The Spine in Paddington Village, 65 metres. And now a gem of Liverpool, the Port of Liverpool building, completed in 1907, 67 metres. And now another gem, equally magnificent. Actually no, it's a bit of a mouthful. It's the Royal Liverpool University Hospital Boiler House Chimney, built for the old hospital, which is now nearly demolished. There's the final section, which reminds me of an industrial structure in South Liverpool. It's the partly demolished flour mill on Mill Street, Dingle. Google Earth says it's 47 metres tall, just below the starting point for this list. Architectural value, debatable, but it's a local landmark. To replace it, maybe they could build a residential tower of the same shape, like they did in Frankfurt. With a viewing platform, please. Sorry, just thinking aloud. Here's another recently constructed building that's not yet on the Wikipedia list. It's Pall Mall Press. I couldn't find any height details, only the number of stories, 22. The height from street level, as displayed by Google Earth, is 68 metres. Continuing down the list, it's the municipal buildings, now the Municipal Hotel and Spa. The clock tower is 68 metres tall. One Princess Dock, also 68 metres. Metropolitan House on Crosshall Street, 73 metres. And next to it, Newhall Place, the Sandcastle, 76 metres. On the South Waterfront, the residential building X1 the Tower, 77 metres. Liverpool Metropolitan Cathedral, that's the Catholic one, 85 metres above street level. Google Earth says the tops of the pinnacles are 130 metres above sea level. Unity Residential, 86 metres. Alexandra Tower, 88 metres. Let me just put in the Triad building, Bootle. Though outside the city of Liverpool, it deserves an honorary mention. It's 89 metres tall. The Beetham Tower, 90 metres, and climbing further, we have the most famous and best loved building in Liverpool, the Royal Liver Building, 13 stories, Europe's first skyscraper, built 1911. And did you guess the height? It's 98 metres or 322 feet. To the top of the birds, it's 103.7 metres or 340 feet. It was said to have been overtaken in 1931 by the Boerentoren in Antwerp, original height 87.5 metres, but that's 10.5 metres lower than the Liver Building. There's something wrong there. Can anyone help? The Liver Building was inspired by tall buildings across the Atlantic, and it may have inspired some there as well. And so, this is our final detour, did the residents of New York embrace the new towers that started to appear around the 1880s? It turns out that many of them didn't. They complained that they were too tall, too ugly, possibly dangerous, even a fire hazard, and cast long shadows. That led to the zoning regulations, which caused future towers to be stepped back. By the 1930s, skyscrapers were the hallmark of New York. Who can imagine it without the Empire State Building? But today, the well-heeled people living in the super tall, super thin 432 Park Avenue are suing the developers due to building faults. Another example of a building that can cause harm, in this case to residents' lives and very large bank balances. Now we're into the top 5, and the 5th tallest building is Liverpool Cathedral. That's the Anglican Cathedral, 101 metres above ground level, 143 metres above sea level. In fourth place, on Prince's Dock, Lighthouse, 108 metres. And next to it, in third place, the Lexington, 113 metres. Second tallest, Radio City Tower, begun in 1965, 138 metres. And still in the number one position, it's sounding like the pop charts here, it's West Tower, 140 metres, 460 feet. But taller towers are being planned by developers with offices in West Tower, the Beetham organisation. It's said they looked out the window onto the King Edward Triangle down below and imagine a cluster of skyscrapers. They are now pushing ahead with those plans, in association with Tom Morris, founder of Home Bargains, and other partners. UNESCO were against any plans for tall buildings on the North Waterfront, as they considered they would harm the historic pierhead. They also criticised the filling in of Bramley-Moore Dock for the new stadium. But the world-famous pierhead is the result of filling in St George's Dock and putting a skyscraper on the site, along with two other large buildings, just over a century ago. Times change. At first, the Parisians hated the Eiffel Tower. It must have seemed like an early electricity pylon to them. It might have been torn down, but it became useful for radio broadcasts, and they grew to like it. Now it's a world-famous landmark and the symbol of romance. So, do tall buildings invariably harm cities? No, of course not. Some cause harm, like Concourse House, 432 Park Avenue, and countless others, but most don't. Can we imagine Liverpool without the Liver building? Tall buildings can be good buildings, and vice versa. In conclusion, I'd like to announce that this video was sponsored by Aidan Languages Tutor. That's my tutoring and media practice for German and English. Thanks to its success over the last number of years and flexibility, it has allowed me to build this channel. But I want to take it to a higher level, so I'm launching a new publicity campaign and website. So please help me out, links below. As usual, thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing and commenting, and you can still buy me a coffee or a super thanks. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und auf Wiedersehen in Liverpool.